Episode number 5. Coach Daugherty, Dr. Osborne, how are you doing?
Pretty well.
Doing well. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we're excited. It was Sunday. It's Sunday night. Another week of football practice coming up. Have a scrimmage next Saturday. Kind of doing a little prep work for the 3 teams that I know will be there. We're going to Huntington High School. We'll play them. We'll play Johnson Central
Out of
High
Kentucky,
School,
right?
Out of Kentucky. And Wayne County High School. It's a double A, I believe.
The Johnson Central team, I believe, weren't they like either won the state championship in the state of Kentucky or was like in the state championship game a couple years ago? I know of. So
They've been very successful the last few years. If you know, I've done my research right, I want to look into them a little bit more, see who they play.
So does everybody kind of play each other, or is it a round robin, or does everybody get a chance, or what?
Yeah, I believe the way we did it last year, they came here. Johnson Central didn't, but everyone got to play everybody, including varsity and JV.
Nice.
So I'm sure we'll
and
do
then the
something
week
like
after that we have the Gritterama. So I mean that's a lot of teams we're able to see in our
Yeah.
area. So
Of course, you know, everybody, at least me, I'm not a coach, but coaching strategy would be to kind of keep your really awesome plays and your really awesome players at bay during these little things. That way, not all the cats are out of the bag.
But one thing we talked about is we will see some of the same defenses that Johnson Central will give it. Like, we won't play them in the regular season, obviously. I know we play Capital, and they play them first game, but we see some of the same defenses. I think it's good as coaches for us. It gives us kind of, just a head start for play calling against different defenses. So it's good for us as well, not just the kids.
Yeah, I spent about maybe 20 minutes earlier looking at their defense, just kind of see what to expect. Now, if I'm right, they were going to run a 3-4. And we've kind of struggled with that last season when we see a 3-4, so I'm excited to see it early.
Anytime you get a chance to be on the field with other teams and not just your own, practicing against your own squad, I'm sure it's pretty healthy for the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think our depth is getting better as a team, but I think it's the same situation for all the teams in the Valley. I mean, your number 2 is not nearly as good as your number 1. In some cases they are, but a lot of cases they're not. So you're right. We're going to have to kind of limit the reps for the first team guys, make sure everyone's healthy week 1.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, we don't really have the depth that we want right now. But in saying that, it was our first week of practice. As the season goes on, we'll get more looks, different positions. Kids will get better. So I'm not necessarily stressing now. But if somebody does go down, one of our linemen goes down. I mean, right now I think it's safe to say we don't really know who's going in next. I mean, we kind of have an idea, but for us, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, some of the guys who are competing for a spot, excuse me, shows flashes of greatness. Like they look really good at times. You're like, well, that guy looks like he could be on the first team, and then a couple of things will happen where you realize, well, he needs to be on the second team or maybe even a JV player for a year. But that comes back to reps, and we play these scrimmages. Someone who's on those second, third teams may find themselves on the first team. And that happened last year.
Or we're going through practice and we think everything's going well. We go home that same day, watch film, and it was rough. Some things you don't necessarily catch. I know for you, calling the plays, getting the plays in, we're wanting to go fast. So, I mean, it's tough to recognize that on the spot, to know. But later, that huddle's great for us because I don't know how, because I wasn't a coach before huddle days, but I think it would be tough to keep an eye on everybody. I'm watching. It seems like I'm trying to get better. I'm watching one person each play. Like, oh crap! Like I'm focused on one person instead of the whole. The position as a whole, I guess.
Yeah, I look back and think about those days when we didn't film practice, when huddle wasn't a thing, and we're trading film with DVDs. And when I started coaching, we were trading films with VHSs. That's 10 years ago, and where we've come since then. But I think back to those practices, all the mistakes that were never fixed because we didn't see it. It wasn't on film. We can't go rewind, fast forward, rewind. So I think that it's made football better.
Again, I'm not a coach. I'm a chiropractor, right? So I work on the players and the students and as they need it, and even the coaches. But from the outside looking in, as a fan of not just football, but local high school football as well, especially the Warriors, there is a lot of preparation that goes into getting a team ready. And, hats off to both of you and then your whole coaching staff because, a lot of the fans out there, they complain. They're like, this guy's not going in. Why, he didn't make the catch. Why isn't this guy going in? And you'll get the regular fan base that is diehard. They bleed the team. But, you get the ones out there that are just out there to complain. And as one of those, admittedly, that is an armchair quarterback or an armchair coach, this has completely changed my perspective. So, do you all feel like, does that ever go into your all's coaching ability or the plans that you have, what the fans think, or are you just solely out there driven by one purpose, and that's to win games, right?
I'm kind of glad you asked that because a few players and myself just went to the hospital to visit a teacher that's pretty sick. And some of their parents were thanking me for going down with them, and I didn't expect to thank, so that's not why I did it. I mean, that was like, never expected that, which I appreciated it. But, and I didn't expect anything from it because we do so much with football that has nothing to do with game time. If you look at how many hours we play during the season, I mean, I would love to see the percentage. I mean, it's less than 10% of what we actually do with these guys. We're talking about practice time, the times we spend in off-season lifting.
Well, school time,
School
and with them in
time.
the school,
Yeah.
Well, especially with high school, you are teachers too.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah. So I mean, you think about the game time, we're playing football. It is not very long compared to all year doing all this stuff.
But I would personally argue to say like that time spent with them, I think it helps with the performance as well because these kids aren't just football; they have lives outside of this game, and I think that's one reason we wanted to start this podcast. I mean, if I'm speaking for you as well, because people don't understand what goes through, not just on the field but in here as well. And I think it goes without saying that a high school football coach has the potential to be very influential in these kids' lives because you have no idea what's going on outside of these walls. Now, we can control what goes on here and on the field, and that's just one reason. Probably the biggest reason I wanted to become a teacher and a coach was because I wanted to have that kind of an impact as I knew a football coach could have.
Yeah, like tying in what you said, like influencing, these students and these student athletes and hearing someone badmouth us in the stands, like they have no idea. Like playing this game is such a small part of being part of this program. So you just have to overlook it. I mean, because you have a huge relationship with these players, and for someone that you've never seen before yell out, you suck, all these things, don't have a clue.
Oh my gosh.
And in my head, I mean, I hear people say, quit running that play or, something like that. And I feel like handing them a marker, here, draw me a play, because I bet you couldn't even draw the defense.
Come out here and see what you.
Yeah, because
absolutely.
draw me a play, they couldn't even draw the defense area and probably wouldn't even put 11 guys on the field. So I look at where it's coming from, and
take it with
how
a grain
little
of
they
salt.
know.
Yeah, you take it with a grain of salt
Yeah.
because I know that's things that come up every year, and we barely hear it. I mean, I know we don't really pay attention to that, but sometimes you'll hear something. But I mean, if somebody's complaining about their kids' playing time, I would come watch practice, come watch what he's doing in practice. Like we play the best players
To record
available.
practice,
The best. And I think that's something different about our program is I don't care what grade you're in, we're going to play our best player. And I think that's something different than any other school. And I mean,
Well, I think one common misconception, and I agree completely. You play the best players. I mean, I refereed soccer for high school, and let me tell you, it was literally hats off to referees as well. And we all know that they blow calls every once in a while. But just as referees and coaches, especially coaches, it's not, and that's why I have such a hard time with parents saying some of the things that they do. And not even parents. It's just sometimes you get these fans that come out to watch local football, local, whatever sport, and they come out, and I have a hard time swallowing something that I don't want to say, that I really want to say whenever they're like, whose team are you on? I mean, it's not like you all are out there to purposely say, oh my gosh, well, I wonder how I can piss somebody off. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
I wonder how I can ruin the team, right? I mean, it's not like
We'll do his kid a favor and let him
Yeah.
play. There's better players,
Yeah.
you know.
oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, I think when the opposite end of that, like for us, like we're just as hard on ourselves as the people in the stands are. Like,
stress to the max, I'm sure.
well, we'll look at film and we'll say where we need to improve. Like, it's not like we think we're perfect and we got all the answers, because that's something that we look at each week a lot. We watch a lot of film to know where we made mistakes. Where can we get better? What do I need to do to help these kids? And I mean, we want success just as much as the fans and the players do. I mean, this is a big deal to us. It's part of our lives. I mean,
Right.
I don't understand how, saying those kinds of things isn't making the situation any better. Like, we're going to do what we can for the best of the team. And I mean, I don't know what more you can ask.
I don't think these fans, the ones you're talking about, I think we have a great fan base. Let that be known.
yes.
You know, I'm not
100%.
so.
I've been a fan
but-
base of Riverside for years and years and years and
right.
years.
So I'm with our fan base.
I mean, they help us.
yeah, we have great
so
fans.
much.
I just want that to be clear,
Yeah.
you know. But the people who are yelling, sometimes at us, sometimes at their kids, I'll be standing right beside them, and they say, I wish he would shut up. He's embarrassing me. You know, I don't think they realize the how strong of a relationship they have with their coach, and they put them in an awkward situation when their parents are saying bad things about the coach when they respect the coach and have a good relationship and don't think that, you know. So, like, for those types of fans, to answer your question, like, in order to be offended, I would have to respect their opinion of me, and if I don't know you, I don't. So, like, that's just like what it is. Like, I don't, like you said, we don't even hear it most of the time.
Yeah.
They can scream and yell. We're coaching. We're doing our jobs. We don't hear what you're saying, you know. But I think we have a great fan base, and we have a lot of people follow us to different games, away games. You know, I've been other programs, huge games. We've traveled, maybe 15, 20 people, parents follow us. But I think we have a great fan base that travels.
One thing to go along with what you were saying about the player respecting us, they don't agree with the parent. Well, they're here every day seeing the work we put in. The parents aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, they know what we do, but I guess I could see. In my opinion, that's where things are different. I mean, they see what goes on day in, day out. So.
See, and that's true, and I completely agree. And there's a lot of times, and unfortunately, and I can vouch for this as a player, not a football player in high school, but I played other sports, and I had two coaches. I had the coach of the team, and then I had my parents, right? And if I thought that I did something great, and the coach didn't think it was a good idea, or something like that, and then I went home and they were like, oh, the coach shouldn't have said that to you, or da-da-da-da-da. So I'm going back to the coach with a little bit of less respect, or a little bit to expect a little less from the coach, because I got coached at home saying, well, the coach at the school was wrong, so obviously you're the greatest one out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it just kind of works like that, and I feel like that's not really helping the coaching staff, and ultimately it's not helping the team.
I agree with that.
I'm sorry, Coach. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, obviously these kids whose parents are very involved, I mean, for the most part, I think they have good relationships with their parents. I mean, what if they are saying something at home, and like you were saying, it could very well, they could beat it in their head enough to where they actually believe that, But I think we have great relationships with our players again, and also the parents, and I mean that doesn't go for the whole fan base, of course, and I'm sure every program has the same problems. It's not just our fan base, but this is a problem as a whole. People not understanding what really goes on.
That's at every level too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at midget league, through high school, through collegiate, and even the NFL. You got parents shouting in the stands, or fans just shouting out to the coach.
A different perspective. Like, they can say what they want about us, But I've defended our players several times when I hear something said about them. Man, he's a teenager. He's out here playing his tail off. You don't need to be saying that about him.
As well, you should, and that's awesome that you did that.
Yeah. And they got our back. I've heard them say things to people when they've said stuff about us. I don't think they realize how close we get with these players and how close they get with us because we're in this thing together. Some of the stuff we do on that football field, we'd go to jail for if we did it out on the street. I mean, it's a hard, tough game, and we got to be able to trust each other.
Yeah. It's a brotherhood.
Sure is. So getting back to practice, we kind of got off on a little thing. That's a good conversation.
It was.
I think we had a great week of practice. Transitions speed up when we made those changes we spoke about in previous podcasts. What I really liked is we moved that water down to halfway down the field,
we did.
so it's closer to everybody. And we talked about each group getting a couple water bottles, and they took that upon themselves. Like I don't know if you noticed when we were down on O line, like there was always a couple water bottles sitting there.
Yeah. Did you hear Ben?
No.
He just kept saying, "Oh, how about those water bottles, Coach, that you talked about on your podcast?"
Yeah,
when are we going to get those water bottles?
Yeah, they listen.
Yeah.
So those water bottles start showing up. I think transitions went a lot faster. Toward the end, I was a little frustrated in the beginning of the week because when we're in team offense, we're running plays that we've been practicing that day. I want to go fast, and like I told you, I'll never be satisfied with our speed. Like I want to go fast.
Well, even Friday, this is a situation that we really have to improve. I was watching huddle like you, everybody else. It took us 20 seconds to snap the ball every single. I got on my nerves. I was fast forwarding.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we need to keep focusing on because the transitions were better. We were quicker getting to our spots, but we still need to be faster with our play calls. And I don't know. It was something that irked me while I was watching. That was what I was going to talk to you about.
Yeah. We got faster as the week went on. We're still learning. I get it. And, we moved in and out of a couple different personnel formations for, we went 20, then we went back to 10, and we got into 21, so there are people moving in and off the field. And we're still trying to figure out who those people are. We're giving people shots. So it's a learning thing. By the time we go to Huntington this Saturday, I would like to be able to be about as fast as we want to be during the season.
So realistically, how much, because this is my second year, and I mean, you've been around other programs, our depth compared to other depth. How much time do you think our number ones are going to get in our scrimmages coming up?
Yeah, everyone I've coached for usually has the same philosophy. We're going to get the reps with the ones, but we're also going to make sure everyone plays. And the younger guys are going to play a lot because the thing about last year, like we were looking for guys who were going to run the football for us, and we had a guy who wasn't a starter at the time, and he was pounding the rock. I mean, he did exactly what he's supposed to do, ran the plays they were supposed to be ran, and all of a sudden he's our starter.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a starter going into the scrimmage. Actually, it was our second scrimmage before we realized, like, this guy is our guy.
Well, our head coach, preaches that all the time, that we have a lot of starters that we've either recognized through JV time, through practice film, through even Scout O and Scout D. And it's really, when you get an opportunity, you make the most of it. And I think that's in practice, sometimes we teach our kids stay off the legs, but in scrimmages, it's full force. And
Yeah.
we really get a preview of what our kids are going to play like. And I think it's a great opportunity, not only for our number ones, but for somebody who thinks they deserve an opportunity to play at the varsity level. They get a chance to show themselves.
Yeah.
Pat White, WVU, he wasn't the starter, right? Hidden gems.
Right. So
every
Tom Brady.
Every team has him. Tom
Yeah.
Brady.
That happens.
Kurt Warner.
Yeah, that's the same
I
time.
just saw
Daggone
his
arena.
football life, man.
Yeah.
On NFL Network. He's just
Oh,
gone in
yeah.
the Hall of Fame like Kurt Warner.
I've been watching those too.
Yeah.
I recorded the LaDainian Tomlinson one.
Oh, good.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
Talking about who's getting reps, at the same time, we can't be afraid to play our number ones. That's the horse we're going to ride, through this season, and we're going to stick to it. And it's kind of a unique situation for us because we have so many people returned from last season. So they kind of almost know their role, and I can definitely tell in preseason camp how much easier the install was having all these people back.
It was incredible.
It's like we hit the road running.
Yeah.
And we're much further. I told our coaching staff, we're better after 5 practices now than we were going into game 1 last season. We're better at that point in the season right now.
It was hard for me last year being my first year, not knowing what to expect, to know kind of – it was my first football practice as a coach, so I didn't really know what kind of expectations. But seeing this year 2, oh, my gosh, it's leaps and bounds. Just like as far as – like you said, we have a lot of returners. They know what to do, and I think we had a great offseason. So.
Absolutely.
So quick question, just as a chiropractor, and who will be working with all the kids, when it comes to off-season conditioning, right? So this is your first week of practice,
Right.
okay? And I'm not sure of the rules and regulations for the county or the state as far as practices go and during the off season. But how did you feel the off season conditioning was? Like, do you think that played an important role? Could you tell a difference when they first showed up to practice, and were they getting winded? Were they getting injured? Were they getting stretched out more as compared to the end of the week? Or
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we kind of talked about, all of us, is how fast we want to play. And at the end of the season last year, we were playing pretty fast. So we knew we'd have to incorporate some conditioning into our workouts. And this summer, my goodness, I wouldn't have wanted to run all the stuff they ran as a 30-year-old man. Maybe when I was a teenager, but they ran, a great program our track coach put them through. And I think that really helped us out to finish practices as strong as we have this week. We haven't had to say anything about effort. Mm-mm. I mean, the effort's there, and when I say speed up, we have we're doing what we're supposed to do, but I want more plays. Yeah. One thing that'll do that is I need to make someone a designated ball spotter, because we're kind of waiting on the ball to be put down on the ground. We need another ball to go. So that's kind of like practice and all that, but being in shape, our guys are ready for a high tempo type of defense and offense because of the conditioning and off season that we had.
Well, I'll also say that you can tell the kids that weren't there in the off season for sure. I mean, we have a handful that didn't show up to very many off season workouts, and you can tell that they didn't show up.
Yeah. Like the rhino in the back of the pack.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and at the same time, but that just goes to show how good of a program it was, because it put them that much ahead of somebody who wasn't on it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can continue to get our numbers up in the offseason, that's really where, the program builds. So.
But we're talking about, deciding who's 1s and 2s right now, and that kind of played a role in, you can't make it right now.
Well,
you need to stay in shape. Yeah, you're behind everyone else. You're number 2 right now.
Well, hard work pays off.
Right. These guys wanted it.
Nobody ever got anything just by sitting on their hind end. You know what I mean? I mean, you give it to that goes back to the players that you choose. And in my opinion, you've got a guy that's hustling really, really hard, giving it 110%, and then you got the guy that walks in that played the year before and the year before that, and just expecting a position. I mean, are there any? Have you ever ran into something like that where somebody waltzes in and says, "Well, this has been my position for several years," but they didn't put in the effort during the off season, they don't put in the effort at the practice, and then somebody else just goes leaps and bounds above them?
It's happened this year.
Yeah, I know Coach Harrison's saying is, if you got a guy that's been here and he's close to somebody who hasn't been putting in the work, you're playing the guy that's been there. I mean, it might be a minimal difference, it might be a major difference, but you gotta kind of throw a dog a bone, as he would say, and you gotta give them opportunity. And if they can't get it done, then we'll find somebody else. But they get their opportunities first.
Yeah, we're talking about building relationships and how close of a relationship we have with these student athletes. And, well, the guy that's been here working their tail off, wanting to earn that spot, built that trust. I know that he's going to be here.
You can count on them.
I can count on him, but a guy just walks in here like, well, I didn't even know if you were really going to play or not. I haven't heard from you.
How
seen
much do you care about the program?
Right. So I'm going with the guy I can trust if there's not, there's a minimal difference, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes without saying. Like, we're seeing it now that we're in this season. And, I mean, week number 1 of our practices, just looking back, the way we're running things is we're usually getting about 10 to 15 minutes of ND time. And me and you are working with the O-line. And then we go what we call inside run. For how long do we do inside run?
It's about 15 minutes.
And then on the opposite side, the skill guys are getting their 7-on-7 in. So, and then from there we go team, and then flip to the defense. So, I mean, I think we're structured pretty well, and I think practices are going a lot smoother than day one. So,
get some insight from the doctor because he drove quite a ways to be here today. The condition of the athlete when you see him come into your office, do you see that maybe the people you see more often are like a caliber that's not as in shape or as fit as someone who may be who practices and lifts every day and goes through programs?
Oh, goodness, yeah. I mean, for instance, just from a chiropractic standpoint, we get athletes, we do student-athlete physicals too. And, we listen to the heart and do all the other stuff that a physical needs. But then, we have them do a few stretches, and a lot of times the ones that you can tell the difference and that are not just naturally fit, right? There's a lot of people, especially in this area, that are just not naturally fit. So if they show up and they put in the time at the chiropractor's office, like I said in the last podcast I was in, chiropractic care improves mobility, agility, and speed, okay, in every athlete. It's hands down, studies show it. So, yes, we can tell a huge difference. And I'll guarantee you, if I took patient A and patient B and they were both playing the running back position and they had to make cuts and they had to do speed bursts, the one that was under chiropractic care would be quicker. I will guarantee you that. Over time. I mean, not immediately. But, yeah, to answer your question, I see a lot of difference. I always tell patients there's a difference in feeling better and healing, right? So just because you think you've got it doesn't mean you're over it. Does that make sense? And
yes,
that goes with everything, not just healing, injuries and things, but that goes with hard work. And just because you got the position at the first part of the season and you're healed or you're feeling better doesn't mean you've got it for the entire season because there's always somebody out there that wants it more.
Yeah. I've kind of seen that. Obviously, there's no study that I've done to say this is proven, but I kind of noticed the ones, the people who go down out there or, need a break or kind of rolled their ankle and all that stuff, usually is the ones who, like, we didn't know you were even going to play. We haven't seen you all summer.
Yeah.
You haven't been working out with us. Not all the time, but I just kind of noticed that, like, some of them that goes down, I'm still trying to learn their names because they haven't been around. Mm-hmm. So I was curious to see, like, when you see a patient walk in, you kind of know, like, I know why he got hurt. I know why she's injured.
Oh, absolutely. Well, with chiropractic, there's nutrition and, weight issues. I mean, the heavier you are, the more problems you're going to have in your knees and your low back and your neck.
That's kind of like I was wondering.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. So if you come into if you come in from off-season unconditioned, right, if you've been beaching it up at the beach and laying out and eating and drinking and doing whatever you want to and just taking it easy all summer, and then you've got another guy who was in the same exact shape as you were before summer started, and they've been working out just even 3 days a week, they're going to come in and they're going to get that spot.
So a week's difference can make a week can make that difference.
Oh, wow. Oh, absolutely.
They're pretty close. They've worked out the same program for months. One goes a week without working out. Mm-hmm. One continues the program. There's a huge difference now.
Yeah. So as far as working out, right, gaining muscle, everybody thinks I got to gain muscle, I got to gain strength. You work out 2 weeks solid, you don't gain any muscle, you don't gain any strength. It's all at the cellular level. You don't gain anything. After that, if you stick with it, then you do. So if that person takes 2 weeks off and the other person puts 2 weeks back into it, they're going to be 2 weeks ahead all season long.
That's interesting.
Yeah, just some closing thoughts for me is we're starting week number 2 tomorrow, and second week as an offensive line coach, and I have just already, obviously I worked hard in the off season to try to learn the most I can, but I've learned so much. It's one of those things that you learn just like teaching. You can learn all you want in a classroom setting or watching videos, but once you go out and do it, man, it's a completely different ballgame. So I've really enjoyed it so far, and some ideas that me and Coach Johnson were thinking about for the season with the podcast is coming in about every Sunday after Friday night's game and kind of debriefing what we thought about the game, how we could have improved, the results. So just stay tuned as that comes on. Season's about to start picking up for us, but I'm sure we'll do some more episodes here and there. So thanks for listening to us.
I haven't even ran this past you yet, but I'm kind of thinking of ideas for a podcast. And on the Grid-A-Rama you were talking about, it's a 2-day thing. We go down and watch teams play. And if we can get this technology to the stadium, I thought it would be neat to sit around with some of the coaches and get some different insight on different things. Pass the mic around.
That would be cool.
Other teams?
Yeah.
Yeah, other coaches.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Just pass the mic. We'll call it pass the mic.
Can I just say one thing?
Absolutely.
I'm not, like I told in the beginning, and you all know this, and now everybody listening does, I am not a coach, okay? I tried coaching a kids' soccer team one time, and it didn't go so well. A very long time ago. So I'm not a coach, but I am overly excited about this upcoming season. And I know you all are too. And just as, I was telling you all, I start getting that nervous feeling in my stomach when we start talking about the upcoming season and just to be a part of it, being allowed to be a part of it and contributing to the maintenance of these athletes, just really looking forward to it. And I think that them being under the care that they're going to be, that I'm going to be providing, that the athletic trainers are going to be providing as well. Everybody works in a team. And I think it's going to be an amazing season.
Yeah, I think we have a really good coaching staff, helping us keep healthy. But I think you're going to be a very good asset to the team because, like we said for the first episode you were with us, is that there were times last year where we got thin and there were some, we really could have used you. So yeah. I'm excited to see the difference. So
maintain their health and maintain your team.
Yeah, Coach Johnson, what's your final thoughts? You got any?
My final thoughts is it's kind of like summing it up. The better shape you're in, the better practices you're going to have. So you're doing yourself a favor by having a great off-season program. You're going to do yourself a favor in August when you're trying to install all this stuff and prepare yourself for the games. Within the next week, we're going to play 3 different teams Saturday. Mm-hmm. We're going to see 3 different defenses, 3 different offenses. And we're going to have to go.
Yeah,
it's going to be hot. We're going to be on turf. And, we're pretty well conditioned, so let's see how, compare from last year.
Turf is like 15 degrees hotter.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think coaches, you're going to do yourself a favor by having a great off-season program.
Yeah, it's worth the time, worth the effort.
Absolutely. I heard just real quick, and I know we're getting ready to end, but I heard one thing, and it's about diet and lifestyle, right? Diets don't work, okay? So if you think you're going to lose a bunch of weight on a diet and then maintain that, it turns into a lifestyle, okay? Football is a lifestyle. If you want to play football and if you want to be excellent and achieve excellence, you have to live that lifestyle. You can't just diet for the first 3 weeks of practice and think you're going to achieve that big goal that you're trying to get.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I heard a saying one time that your overall health is kind of like football. You have offense, defense, and special teams. And so, if you're not very strong in one of those 3, that you're not going to be a very good team. You're missing something. And it's kind of like your lifestyle. You have your cardio, your strength, and your diet. And you can be strong in 2 of those, but if you're not strong in one, you're not going to be very, you won't have a great overall health.
Yeah. So, that's true. And I saw something on Facebook the other day in those quick little videos that they have. The guy was like, yeah, I'm really fed up with people saying it's diet and exercise 50-50. It's not. It's 100% of both. You give 100% of effort to diet, 100% of effort to exercise, and when we're talking about football, 100% of respect to your coaches, then you're going to achieve excellence. It's bottom line.
I like it, Doc. We're starting to get a little bit of feedback for our podcast. we're over
200.
200 now.
215.
215 downloads.
Well, listens.
Hot dog.
Listens.
Yeah.
We're excited. We want this thing to grow. I'm getting some feedback
1K.
in
1K listens. So we're,
by the end of the season.
yeah.
So we're going to keep doing it, and because this is what we love to do. We love football. This is our career, our lifestyle. We want to be the best we can. So we're looking to learn from you all, and hopefully you're learning something from us. So we're going to keep posting, and we're going to keep recording, and
Keep getting better.
Keep getting better. I feel like we flow a little better.
Yeah.
They say your first podcast is your worst podcast, and I feel more comfortable doing them now, and we're getting better ideas, more exciting ideas about episodes. So I'm excited, and we're going to keep doing it. And if do us a favor, if you listen, you like it, share it for us, please.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for listening.
All right, appreciate it.